Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Friday, the 5th of December. Multiple terror attacks kill at least 18 in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir. India condemns Hafiz Saeed's Lahore rally, blames Pakistan for mainstreaming terrorism. And real life inspires Bollywood at box office this weekend. And now for all the details, at least 18 people, including 8 Indian Army personnel, were killed in a series of terror attacks in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir on Friday. The strikes come at a time when the province is going through assembly elections with a record voter turnout so far.
An army camp in Uri, some 43 miles from the summer capital Srinagar, came under a pre-dawn attack on Friday. 6 heavily armed militants stormed the area and opened fire at army personnel. All the attackers were gunned down by the military in the retaliatory fire. Terror attacks were also reported from Saura and Shopian on Friday. According to reports, the terrorists infiltrated into the Indian territory from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The strikes took place as Jammu and Kashmir is holding provincial polls to elect its new government. It also comes days before Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to address an election rally in Srinagar next week. Analysts said the attack shows the desperation of Pakistan after the massive voter turnout in the ongoing elections.
See, it is clearly evident that the Pakistani army and its ISI have become desperate, and they are disheartened by the large voter turnout in the first 2 phases of the assembly elections, and at any cost want to disturb the elections in Jammu and Kashmir. The basic aim of all these acts is to draw international attention towards Kashmir and send a message that the Kashmir is still a boiling and a flashpoint. And that is what their leaders have also been drumming at various events, international events.
Many also felt that India should send out a strong message to Pakistan over its continued support to Kashmiri militants.
So this is the high time that the government should take a lesson from this and now send a message to the Pakistan that you have crossed all limits and nothing more will be tolerated from now onwards.
Intelligence agencies had warned of a spike in terror attack in the valley, targeting politicians and poll rallies in order to disrupt the polls. Jammu and Kashmir is voting in 5 phases to elect the next provincial government.
Pakistani militant leader Hafiz Saeed has threatened India with a 100-year war once again at a Mammoth rally in eastern Lahore. He openly challenged India and the US to come and get him. New Delhi said by siding with the designated terrorist, Pakistan has shown disregard to international norms.
Hafiz Saeed said there is a conspiracy to make Pakistan a secular country and he would not allow it to happen. Addressing the JUD supporters in Lahore on Friday, Saeed urged Pakistanis to unite in its fight against all Pakistan's enemies, including the United States and India. Others who spoke at the gathering also continued with their anti-India and anti-West campaign. Pakistani Railways had on Thursday run 2 special trains to transport thousands of attendees of the rally from all across the country to Lahore. Calling it a blatant disregard to international norms on terrorism, India on Friday condemned Pakistan government's open support to Saeed's rally. Indian Foreign Ministry said Islamabad's move was mainstreaming terrorism.
If these sort of facilities are provided to a designated terrorist organization or a designated terrorist entity, with people also indicating and reports which have come that even train services were provided for this organization and entity, this is nothing short of mainstreaming a terrorist entity and a terrorist who is designated so all over the world. Obviously, it means this is blatant disregard for the global norms which are evolving against terrorism.
JUD is another face of Pakistani terror outfit Lashkar-e-Toiba. Though both the organizations are internationally banned, they operate freely in Pakistan with the patronage of the government, its powerful army and its intelligence agency, the ISI.
The United States and Britain have reiterated that they will continue to support Afghanistan even after the troops withdraw from the country. The two nations, along with Pakistan, discussed the future with Afghan leadership on Friday.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani said his armed forces are capable of defending his country from the Taliban post the withdrawal of NATO combat troops by the end of this year. Speaking at the London conference on Afghanistan, Ghani thanked the international community for its support. The meeting was attended by US Secretary of State John Kerry, British Prime Minister David Cameron, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, apart from Afghan CEO Abdullah Abdullah. President Ghani expressed hope that his country will not need a foreign armed support in the future.
In our history, a very long history, if only needed direct combat support in the last 13 years. We hope that we will never need direct combat support, because the last thing we want is more blood.
Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif also promised his country's commitment towards improving relations with Afghanistan. The London conference, attended by the four countries, was aimed at improving financial stability and development of Afghanistan. No new aid packages were, however, announced in the summit.
The United States has extended the Coalition Support Fund for Pakistan by another year. It has, however, cut down the limit to $1 billion for the financial year 2015.
The United States said Pakistan will continue to receive financial assistance only if the US Defense Secretary assures that Islamabad is continuing its crackdown on the Taliban and the Haqqani network in Waziristan. Under the new proposal, Pakistan must ensure that the areas which have been cleared don't slip back into the hands of the insurgents. The Coalition Support Fund is not a military aid, but a reimbursement to Pakistan for the expenses borne by its army in support of the US military operations in Afghanistan. Pakistan has been receiving the financial assistance from US since the NATO invasion of Afghanistan began in 2001. The country claims that the funds are being used to fight the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban and the Haqqanis in Pakistan's tribal areas. Earlier, there were reports that Washington may drastically cut down on the assonance as the US is formally ending its combat mission in Afghanistan. Pakistan received $370 million in October as part of the deal, where the reimbursements are made in 4 installments.
A lawyer defending a university lecturer accused of blasphemy escaped a gun attack by unidentified men in Pakistan's eastern Lahore late on Thursday. The assailants, riding motorbikes, fired at the residence of Multan-based lawyer Shahbaz Gurmani before dropping a letter at his doorstep. The letter, bearing the name of Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, or IS, said Gurmani's movements were being monitored and threatened him of serious repercussions if he did not withdraw from the case. Gurmani had taken up the case of Professor Junaid Hafiz in May after his earlier defense counsel was shot dead. Hafiz was known for his liberal views, was accused of allegedly making derogatory remarks against the Prophet Muhammad in March last year. Blasphemy is punishable by death in Pakistan. Many rights activists and lawyers who have stood for blasphemy accused have come under threats and attacks in the past. It was the amalgamation of mythology, mystic and music as one of the biggest dance festivals of India saw a perfect countdown on Friday. Take a look at what all unfolded on this magnificent stage.
With the iconic Sun Temple in the backdrop, the connoisseurs of Indian dance styles mesmerized the crowd as the open-air auditorium echoed with the beats of ghungru and traditional musical notes. It was a perfect closure to the Konark Dance Festival in India's eastern state of Odisha on Friday. Age-old Indian dance forms including Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi, Manipuri, Odissi, Mohiniyattam and Kathak were enough to leave the spectators mesmerized during the 5-day annual extravaganza. The glittering event had dance exponents from all across India and neighbouring countries like Bhutan. Many said it was a great platform to present their country's history and tradition.
बहुत मदद करता है क्योंकि कोई हम लोग का ये डांस नहीं देखता है, कोई हम लोग का इंडिया का ही है, ऐसा मीन्स है कोई किसी को मालूम नहीं है क्या डांस है ये क्या, लेकिन ऐसा प्रसार करने से ओपन में ऐसा प्रसार करने मालूम हो जाता है कि सत्रिया डांस क्या है इसमें क्या होता है और बहुत ही ज्ञान मिलता है, आपको माइथोलॉजी का भी ज्ञान मिलता है.
The performances included unique choreographic renderings of eminent dance gurus. Some also depicted mythological stories around various Indian gods. The dance repertoires were marked by quick beat rhythm and smooth lyrical composition. The event left several foreign tourists spellbound too.
The dances are fantastic. I particularly like the Odissi dances. They remind me of Kerala a little bit. And I do think, however, the tourist offices, especially the local tourist offices, need to do more advertising. The standard is fantastically high, and I just wish there were more people that knew about it.
The festival aims at exhibiting and preserving the traditional arts. Around 31 artists from India, apart from Canada, Russia and Bulgaria, also took part in the fiesta.
Bollywood's weekend platter serves to cinefans a mix of comedy and tragedy. While one traces the realities through humour, other takes note of historic events. Take a look.
It is a double dose of reality check at the box office this weekend, and taking the cue is Suleimani Keeda. The film, which has already garnered attention for its unique storytelling, had a special screening in entertainment capital Mumbai. The cast of the film were joined in by actors Ranveer Shauri, Amrita Rao, Raza Khan and filmmaker Vikramaditya Motwane. Director Amit Masurkar said he made the low-budget film because of the support of his friends.
हम सब साथ आए और साथ में मिलके हमने बहुत ही लो बजट में ये फिल्म बना दी। अब ये इसीलिए इसको नया समझ रहे लोग क्योंकि ऐसी टाइप की फिल्में कोई भी बना सकता है। मतलब इतने लो बजट में आपको सिर्फ एक स्क्रिप्ट की जरूरत है और दोस्तों की जरूरत है।
हमें यहाँ से यहाँ जाना है। क्या हम तुम बीवी हो क्या मेरी? कोई लड़की होता ना देखता नहीं तेरी ओर।
Suleimani Keeda is the story about writing partners Dulal and Menak who dream of taking on Bollywood with their script. But after tasting failure, they take refuge under film producer Gonzo Kapoor, who hires them to write an art house film for his directorial debut.
Not sex.
ये तू नहीं तेरा inferiority complex बोल रहा है। लड़की मिली नहीं तो बहन बना लिया, लड़की मिली नहीं तो nice girl हो गई।
The cast of the film Bhopal, A Prayer for Rain, also called in close friends from fraternity at a screening. Actors Manoj Joshi, Nilima Azam, Anjana Sukhani, along with filmmaker Nagesh Kuknur and singer Ila Arun came to support the team. Lead actor Rajpal Yadav, Tanishtha Chatterjee and Fagun Takrar were all happy for the film that documents the Bhopal gas tragedy in India.
इसमें इसके लीगल इश्यूज और पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज को ना रख के इसके डिजास्टर बेस को, ताकि ये डिजास्टर कैसे हुआ और क्या चीज़ें अगर हम फॉलो करें तो आगे कोई डिजास्टर ना हो, ये उसको लेके एक बहुत ही इमोशनल जर्नी, एक लाइफ की जर्नी, एक देसी टाइटैनिक की तरह इसको ट्रीट किया गया।
The film traces the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy, one of the most lethal industrial accidents in human history. It follows the journey of Dilip, a worker at the Union Carbide Corporation, where the dreadful accident of a gas leak happened in the insecticides making plant. According to government records, at least 3,787 were confirmed dead and 500,000 people were injured in the accident.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Multiple terror attacks kill at least 18 in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir. India condemns Hafiz's Lahore rally, blames Pakistan for mainstreaming terrorism. And real life inspires Bollywood at box office this weekend. Now, our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter at SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.